What's up guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we have some really awesome news and a massive theory confirmed for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker concerning the biggest question in The Rise of Skywalker. That being, how exactly did Emperor Palpatine escape death in Return of the Jedi, after he was betrayed by Darth Vader and thrown down the reactor shaft, with essentially Anakin Skywalker completing the goal and calling of the Chosen One, to destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force. Many Star Wars fans were actually quite worried about this in The Rise of Skywalker, as if Palpatine had actually managed to survive Return of the Jedi and being thrown down the reactor shaft, it would not mean that Anakin actually destroyed the Sith and brought balance to the Force. However, today we have confirmation by this YouTube channel Star Wars Theory, who was actually sent a small excerpt from the Rise of Skywalker novel that Palpatine was in fact a clone. Since I'm not breaking this story, I will leave the link to this video in the description down below, so check it out. The piece from the novel excerpt was sent to him from a con, where several lucky attendees were given an early version of the Rise of Skywalker novelization. In the past, Star Wars novelizations have revealed massive bombshells that wouldn't make it in any of the movies, and really fills in a lot of the little gaps. It also goes a long way to tell us exactly what the characters are thinking at any given moment, instead of just seeing them on the big theater screen. This again does seemingly confirm that Emperor Palpatine is a clone in the Rise of Skywalker, however that the very essence of Palpatine is possessing the Sith body. This does bring the Skywalker saga full circle though, and confirm that Anakin did bring balance to the Force and destroyed the original version of Palpatine, and that his spirit and dark side essence is now residing within a brand new body. This is what the full excerpt from the Rise of Skywalker novelization says. The Emperor's eyes were filmed over with milky blindness, and vials punctured his neck. All the vials were empty of liquid, save for one, which was nearly depleted. Kylo peered closer. He'd seen this apparatus before too, when he'd studied the Clone Wars as a boy. The liquid flowing into the living nightmare before him was fighting a losing battle to sustain the Emperor's putrid flesh. "What could you give me?" Kylo asked. Emperor Palpatine lived after a fashion, and Kylo could feel in his very bones that this cloned body sheltered the Emperor's actual spirit. It was an imperfect vessel though, unable to contain his immense power. It couldn't last much longer. "Everything," Palpatine said. "A new empire." This creature raised its hand. Kylo could sense him drawing on the Force, but before he could react, his surroundings disappeared, as if into a fog, and a vision filled their place. If you look back on my channel, I did actually have a theory talking about how I believed Emperor Palpatine was in fact a clone, which this now confirms. Again, Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker though is not a clone like the clone troopers that we see in the Clone Wars. He's a little bit different. This depiction is far more like what we saw in the Dark Empire comic book series with George Lucas, which was a series of comic books released before the prequel trilogy ever was released or developed. Essentially in that story, Emperor Palpatine has been cloning himself, and using his essence and power to transfer to each of these much younger clone bodies. Unfortunately, in that story, every time he possesses a clone body, they deteriorate very quickly, and become decrepit and necrotic, simply because of the immense power, and the clone bodies are unable to contain the full power of the spirit of Palpatine, which appears to be the same thing here. Of course though, the body that we see Emperor Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker is not a young version of him, although apparently behind the scenes, filmmakers did actually tool with this very slightly, and at various points in The Rise of Skywalker, we were actually meant to see a younger version of Palpatine. Again though, in The Rise of Skywalker, this is a cloned body of Palpatine. It is the actual essence of the Dark Lord though, the original Dark Lord. As we've known before in Star Wars canon, it's exceptionally difficult to clone Force wielders. Something else that this seemingly confirms to us is Emperor Palpatine is nowhere near his raw strength in the Force during The Rise of Skywalker, as the novel mentions the immense strength that Emperor Palpatine's body is going through simply to hold his spirit within it. In the visual guide for The Rise of Skywalker, we did actually get a hint prior as to exactly how Emperor Palpatine survived, saying that it was a mix of arcane knowledge as well as science, developed by the Sith cultists. It's seemingly confirmed that while Emperor Palpatine reigned as the Emperor, these Sith cultists were sent out to Exegol to experiment with the dark side of the Force, but more importantly, how to bring their master back post-mortem. This is why Emperor Palpatine's body of course is on Exegol with all of these cultists. He's been cultivating his powers in the unknown regions of space, while ruling as the Emperor in the known regions. This also adds a little more intrigue into the Clone Wars conflict, and why exactly Emperor Palpatine Darth Sidious was so obsessed with the idea of cloning, and wanted to take advantage of the clone troopers. Not only did he want to develop these soldiers, but he wanted to experiment with the idea of cloning. I do think that this is the only way that you could have brought Emperor Palpatine back and kept all of the fans happy. Although debatably, The Rise of Skywalker did not fully succeed in this task. It does go away to confirm that Anakin Skywalker was in fact the chosen one and did bring balance to the Force by destroying the Sith, and that Emperor Palpatine's body was completely destroyed. What the Jedi and Anakin failed to realize though is that somehow Emperor Palpatine clung to the living realm within his very spirit, and then was able to momentarily possess this body, these clone bodies being developed on Exegol, as we also learned that Snoke as well was a clone. Another major question that I still have in The Rise of Skywalker is who is the original Snoke, as now it's been all confirmed that Emperor Palpatine is capable of cloning Force wielders. In Return of the Jedi, we actually learned in canon that the big explosion after Palpatine was thrown down the reactor shaft was actually his Force energy and his living energy leaving his body. We now learn that this is one of the earliest hints on exactly how Palpatine survived Return of the Jedi, as Palpatine's spirit actually left his body before it was really officially destroyed, leading me to somewhat speculate that if Emperor Palpatine's spirit is within a body and that body is killed, Palpatine dies as well. And in Return of the Jedi, he sort of last moment abandoned his original body. He actively allowed his consciousness to depart his body. Palpatine's plan in The Rise of Skywalker as well as in Dark Empire are actually also identical. In Dark Empire, Emperor Palpatine wants to eventually possess the son of Leia and Han Solo, as he believes that this body will be able to contain his immense power, and then he will be able to continue on as the one true Dark Lord of the Sith. It is the same for the Star Wars Episode 9 we got, with Emperor Palpatine believing that Rey is a being and a vessel that can contain his immense power, because of the familial bond that they share. Surprisingly enough also, we even know the Force ability that Palpatine used to transfer his consciousness into a brand new body. Before The Rise of Skywalker, this was a Legends Force ability known as Essence Transfer, but the movie made it canonical. In the movie, Palpatine says this: "The ritual begins. She will strike me down and pledge herself as a Sith. She will draw her weapon. She will come to me. She will take her revenge, and with a stroke of her saber, the Sith are reborn. The Jedi are dead." In Legends continuity, this is exactly what was said about the Force ability of Essence Transfer, again the ability that Palpatine used in The Rise of Skywalker, the ability that saved his spirit from ultimate demise, at least for several decades. Essence Transfer is the secret of eternal life. The physical body will always weaken and fail, yet it is nothing but a shell or a vessel. When it is time, it is possible to transfer your consciousness, your spirit, into a new vessel. Anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this massive confirmation for The Rise of Skywalker, and exactly how Emperor Palpatine survived, cloning his original body? Again, thank you to the YouTube channel Star Wars Theory, and I will link his original video in the description down below. Give him full credit for breaking the story. As always, my friends, I appreciate your continued support and love on the YouTube channel as we continue our Star Wars journey. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.